Hi, I'm Dr. Liam, and this is the diagnosis. There was one time I was leading a team, a young team, still developing their estimation instincts, doing their honest best. We had a large milestone, and they broke down the tasks, gave their estimates, and we moved forward. What nobody fully accounted for, though, was an unstable build, people getting pulled to different fires, and the reality that you don't really know what a task costs until you're totally inside of it. When it became clear we weren't going to hit the milestone, leadership was visibly upset, angry. And here's what bothered me the most. The estimates were never really the problem. The problem was that leadership had treated the estimates like a roadmap instead of a guidepost. Slippage wasn't built in. When I tried to stabilize things, the response was to pivot tactics before the current approach had even a few sprints to live and breathe. That's the pattern. Kahneman and Tversky named this in 1979 the planning fallacy, the tendency to underestimate time, cost, and risk on future work, even when past experience says otherwise. What makes it worse in production environments is that when leadership rewards faster delivery over honest forecasting, teams internalize unrealistic standards. Over time, overpromising and underdelivering becomes the norm. And when you punish variance, you create a second problem. Research on team psychological safety shows that when people fear retribution for honest communication, teams become less honest, less collaborative, and ultimately less effective. If variance gets treated as performance failure, people stop surfacing it, and they stop surfacing it early. They protect themselves instead of informing you, and that's when you lose visibility into what's actually happening. I've also seen this go the other way. One time in my career, I was leading a team on a military training project. Fixed contract, hard end dates, same estimation challenges, technology, and design that weren't fully understood on day one. About 3 months from the end of an 11-month contract, I had to make a triage call, polish a handful of items and miss the finish line, or deliver the full scope and get it testable. I made the call. Leadership trusted the process because we'd built room for slippage from the start. Estimates were treated as a living model. When the hard moment came, we had an honest conversation with stakeholders instead of an angry one. Same type of project, completely different outcomes. The difference wasn't the team. It was whether leadership understood what an estimate actually is. Research shows that estimates made in the early stages of a project can underestimate actual effort by as much as 40%, not because teams are incompetent, but because understanding of the work develops as the work gets done. That's not a discipline problem. That's the nature of complex work. Mature production environments separate forecasting from performance evaluation. They reward early risk flagging. They adjust dynamically instead of pivoting reactively. Because if variance becomes a performance issue, people stop giving you honest signals. And without honest signals, you're not managing production, you're managing theater.